Yo, what's good? There's been a lot of talk about Mikey Garcia saying that he wants to challenge Errol Spence for his welterweight belt, moving up two weight classes to challenge Errol Spence. Now, I think it's consensus that Errol Spence would win that fight, and I think it's even consensus that I believe that Errol Spence would whoop Danny Garcia. Maybe not as easily as I'm thinking right now, but I'm thinking that it won't even be that hard of a fight for Errol Spence. And I'm a big fan of Mikey. I can't stand Danny Garcia, as you guys know, but I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Mikey. He's actually one of my favorite fighters. I think his fundamentals are just so solid. And I've said this once. I'll say it a million times. If I were to teach someone how to fight, I'd say, hey, go watch Mikey Garcia fight. Go watch him fight. Notice how he keeps his guard up, how he starts everything with a jab. Notice how he's always, his footwork is on point. He moves his front work forward, then he moves his back foot forward. Right after that, he's always in balance. Man, that one time he wasn't in balance was against Orlando. That Puerto Rican bloke, that Puerto Rican fella. Um, what's his name? This is gonna kill me all day, but you guys know who I'm talking about. I wanna say Orlando Cruz, but it's not that guy that got a shot just because he's a homosexual. I'm wasting so much time on this already. But this video is not about if I believe Mikey Garcia would beat Errol Spence. It's about him moving up and challenging Errol Spence, and how that just doesn't interest me at all. These guys moving up and down weight classes, getting a trinket here and a trinket there. Mikey Garcia is a four division champion. Featherweight, 130, 130 lightweight, junior welterweight. And if he beats Errol Spence, he'll be five. That's a great achievement. But was he actually the man in any of them? He didn't defend his title at featherweight. I think he barely did his first defense at lightweight. He didn't. I think he's still champion at 140, but he hasn't defended the title. And at 130, he might have had a one or two defenses. So he was never the man at any of these weight classes. So he's just been moving around. A la Broner. Broner was never the man at any of these weight classes. He never beat the man at these weight classes. And there's a difference between Broner, Mikey Garcia, Ricky Burns, these guys that collect trinkets at different weight classes, and guys like Chocolatito, man, who cement themselves in these weight classes. He cemented himself at strawweight, junior flyweight. They made a whole card for him when he moved up to super flyweight, and that's the only division that he didn't become the man in, because fighting killer after killer, that man, that catches up to you eventually. So Rungvisai, man, people didn't want to see him rematch Cuadras, but he went against another killer, and then he lost, and then he wanted that rematch, and man, but he was the man at strawweight, he was the man at junior flyweight, and he was the man at flyweight. So to compare Broner, who beat Paulie Malignaggi at welterweight, to Chocolatito, who was the man at flyweight and was the man at strawweight and the man at junior flyweight, is ridiculous. Chocolatito had a legendary career. I've heard. I say this because I heard of people say, "Oh, Broner's a four division champion too." It's insane to say that Broner is as good of a fighter and has that good of a legacy as Chocolatito does. But I'd rather see someone like a Triple G, who has dominated his division for years, making defense after defense after defense, being ducked for years, but still making the defenses and holding on for the title for as long as he did. That's what made Marvin Hagler legendary, and that's what made Bernard Hopkins legendary. So you don't have to move up and down and weight to become great. It does add in accolades, like Oscar De La Hoya, 6th division champion, Manny Pacquiao, an 8th division champion, Mayweather, a 5 division. It does help. It does add to your legacy. But just because you have a trinket here and there, that doesn't mean that you're a better fighter or that you have a better legacy than this guy who's held one belt, or who's been champion in one division for, let's say, 10 years, like a Klitschko. I know it's different for heavyweights, but he was the man for a whole decade. Triple G's been the man since about 2012, 2013. So 5-6 years being the king at middleweight. It looks like it's coming down, dwindling down his reign, but we'll see. We'll see. If he could hold down, beat Canelo, that'll add to his legacy as well. But I think Golovkin, and you'll probably argue with me in the comments, but I think Golovkin has a better record, a better legacy right now than Mikey Garcia does. And then that time he took off doesn't help, but all this weight jumping, it just doesn't excite me. And there's still spots in, like, even Mayweather's career where he moved up. At 130, he moved up to 135 instead of fighting Casamayor, instead of fighting Frietas. I think Joan Guzman was around at that time. Was those the couple names that he didn't fight? But those were really good names that he could have fought. I think Pacquiao could have fought Joan Guzman at lightweight. He could have fought Marquez again at 130, or fought him at 135. He could have fought. There's names. There's always a guy that's the man that you could have fought, and the only way to avoid it is to become undisputed. That's why I'm so glad there's undisputed champions, that we have Crawford become undisputed, and there's no one at 140 that we wanted Crawford to fight at that point. Progress came out since then, but he wants to make it seem that people are saying that he moved up to Duck Pork, whatever his name is. You guys know who I'm talking about. In a couple years, no one will know his name. And I hope I don't have to eat my words. I hope I do, actually. I hope I'll have to eat my words about Progress, and everybody will know his name in a couple years. But I'm pretty sure in a couple years, if you come back to watch this video, be like, who was he talking about? Oh yeah, the guy that knocked out Indongo before Crawford did. But not Indongo. Was it Indongo? Yeah, he knocked out Indongo. Excuse me. But he was the man at 140. Usyk is the man at cruiserweight. He left no doubt. That's a tournament. That's when there's no politics. That's what we want in all weight classes. If we could have a tournament with all the champions, Super 6, like that, that'd be great. But as we know, boxing politics are such that we can't make it happen. Mayweather, one more name for Mayweather is two more names, Margarito and Paul Williams. And he fought De La Hoya. He moved up to fight De La Hoya instead. And then he made Hatton move up from 140 to fight Hatton at welterweight. And then he retired, made all these guys beat each other so he wouldn't have to fight him. But it doesn't excite me. It doesn't impress me if a guy's moving. It's impressive if he moves up and beats a champion. It's impressive. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he beat the champion at that weight. You could still move up, and it could still be a cherry pick. And I know 140 is kind of a weak division, so I don't know how great Lipinets was, but he's not a great fighter. Spence is. So if he moved up to 147 and beat Spence, that'd be pretty great, because Spence is the man. But the fight I really would want to see is Keith Keith, sometimes Thurman, as he calls him, against Errol Spence. That's a fight we all want to see. But if he moved up and Errol Spence beats him up and hurts him, everyone will be like, yeah, that's what he's supposed to do. That's what happens when you move around in weight classes. So a bit of a ramble today, but I want to see a guy cement himself in a weight class, dominate a weight class before moving up. And the fight I really want to see Mikey in is a fight against Lomachenko. So that's the fight, please, boxing gods. That's the fight. Mikey Garcia versus Lomachenko, and that's possibly a super fight. I think that's a bigger fight than if he fought Spence. But that's just me. Thanks everybody for watching. Peace.